It was 2:41 a.m. in Seattle. Rain slid down the window like tears, tracing pale lines of silver across the glass. In a one-bedroom apartment that smelled faintly of baby powder and exhaustion, Ethan Cole sat at the kitchen counter, his face buried in his hands. He had rocked his son, Noah, for 3 endless hours. The crying had finally stopped, not because Noah was full, but because he was too tired to keep asking for what his father didn't have. The can of formula on the counter was nearly empty. 2 feedings left, maybe, if Ethan watered it down just a little more. He glanced at the phone on the table. The cracked screen glowed with the harsh blue light of reality. $28 in his bank account. Rent due in 4 days. Eviction notices already printed and waiting. He scrolled through his contacts. Past names that used to mean safety. Family, friends, people who'd stopped answering months ago. Finally, he landed on Ben, the one person who might still lend him $40. His fingers trembled as he typed, "Hey man, I hate asking again, but Noah's out of formula. I'll pay you back Tuesday. Just need 40 to get by." He hit send, and in that small, exhausted moment, his thumb slipped. He didn't notice. He didn't see that the message went not to Ben, but to a number saved weeks ago from a job application. Hartman Consult. When he realized it was already too late, the word delivered stared back at him, mocking him in gray letters. He set the phone down, pressed his palms over his eyes, and whispered to the dark, "I can't do this anymore." 3 miles away, the city shimmered from the windows of a glass tower. Claire Hartman, 35, CEO of a renewable tech company, sat alone in her office surrounded by quarterly reports and empty coffee cups. She hadn't slept more than 4 hours a night in 6 years. Success had come, but so had silence. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost ignored it, until she saw the words baby formula. Claire read the message twice. Scammers didn't ask for $40. Scammers didn't sound tired. And somewhere deep inside her, in the quiet place where she still kept the memory of a daughter who'd lived only 17 days, something stirred. Without thinking, she typed, "Wrong number, but I can help. What's your payment app?" 5 minutes later, the transaction went through. $200, not 40. 200! Back in that tiny apartment, Ethan stared at the notification on his screen. Then he sank to the floor, his back against the cold cabinet, and wept. Silent, shaking sobs that came from years of trying to stay strong. He whispered to the sleeping baby in his arms, "There are still angels in this world." When dawn came, he sent one last text. "Thank you. You just saved my son's life." The reply came minutes later. "You're welcome. Take care of Noah." Later that morning, Claire opened her laptop and searched her company's applicant list. There it was. Ethan Cole, construction background, good references, application dated 3 weeks earlier. She messaged him again. "This is Claire Hartman from Green Core Industries. We never scheduled your interview. Are you available tomorrow at 10? Ethan stared at the message, disbelieving. He wrote back hesitantly, "I'd love to, but I don't have anyone to watch my son." Claire replied, "Bring him. We have an on-site nursery. See you at 10. The next morning, Ethan put Noah in a clean onesie, tied his best tie, the one he'd worn to a funeral years ago, and caught the early bus downtown. The tower rose like a monument of glass and possibility. He stepped inside, heart pounding. In the nursery on the second floor, sunlight spilled across soft blue mats. Children laughed, caregivers smiled. He placed Noah in the arms of a woman named Miss Rodriguez, who said, "We've got this, Dad. Go make us proud." The interview itself felt like a blur. 3 people, dozens of questions. Ethan spoke plainly about losing his job, about needing stability, about being a single father. When it ended, he walked out certain he'd failed. 3 days later, the phone rang. "Mr. Cole, we'd like to offer you the position. $58,000 a year, full benefits. You can start Monday." Ethan sank to his knees on the apartment floor, tears flooding his eyes once more. This time, from joy. The weeks that followed felt unreal. Ethan arrived early, worked hard, stayed late. His experience in construction gave him insights the engineers hadn't thought of. He caught errors, streamlined systems, earned quiet respect. Noah thrived in the nursery, laughing, crawling, learning to wave at anyone who passed the window. Sometimes, when Ethan came down at lunch, he'd find Claire Hartman there, the CEO, sitting cross-legged on the floor, reading picture books to his son. The first time, she looked up and smiled softly. "He likes stories about stars," she said. From that day forward, Noah began calling her Cece. A year later, Noah's first birthday arrived. Ethan planned a small gathering, a cake, a few friends, streamers from the dollar store. That afternoon, he received an email. "Use of tiny steps, party supply has been authorized under Claire Hartman's account. Congratulations on Noah's first year." He stood frozen, staring at the screen. When the day came, his apartment filled with laughter and color. And then, a knock at the door. Claire stood there holding a large wrap box. She stepped inside, ignored the stunned silence, and knelt beside Noah's high chair. "Happy birthday, little man," she whispered. Noah squealed, smeared frosting across her sleeve, and said his favorite word, "Cece." Everyone laughed, even Claire. For the first time in years, she laughed without restraint. Ethan watched her sitting on the floor, a CEO with cake on her hands, and realized she wasn't rescuing him anymore. They were rescuing each other. Over time, their lives intertwined naturally. Evening dinners, shared rides, small moments that felt like family. Claire learned to warm bottles, to baby-proof her penthouse, to sing lullabies off-key. One night, Ethan found her rocking Noah to sleep. Her voice trembled. "I'm terrified," she said, "that he won't love me the way he loves you." Ethan shook his head. "You're his Cece. That's real." She looked down at the sleeping boy. "I love him like he's mine. Is that okay?" "It's more than okay," Ethan said quietly. "It's everything." Months later, they sat together in her office, reviewing blueprints for a sustainable housing project. Ethan pointed to a flaw in the design, then suddenly blurted, "Marry me." Claire froze. "What?" "I know it's not the right time, and I don't have a ring yet," he said. "But Noah asked yesterday why Cece doesn't live with us. He told me to ask, so I'm asking." Tears filled her eyes. She covered her mouth, laughed through them, and whispered, "Yes, of course, yes." From the doorway, a tiny voice piped up, "Cece, stay forever now?" They both turned. Noah stood there in pajamas, clutching his stuffed elephant. Claire opened her arms. "Yes, sweetheart. Forever." 6 months later, the rooftop garden of Greencore Industries glowed with fairy lights. Lake Union shimmered below. Friends, co-workers, and neighbors filled the rows of white chairs. Claire walked down the aisle in a simple white dress. Noah perched on her hip, playing with her necklace. When the officiant asked, "Who gives this woman away?" Noah raised his little hand. "Me," he said proudly. "I do." Laughter rippled through the crowd. Even Claire wiped a tear as she kissed the top of his head. Ethan's vows were quiet but certain. To love you in the easy days and the hard ones. To build not just homes, but a life. To never forget that the smallest act of kindness can change everything. Claire's voice trembled as she replied, "I promise to love you both, not for what you've survived, but for who you are. To show up for the small moments, to remember that the best things in life can't be measured in profits or plans. When the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," Noah covered his eyes and giggled, "Gross." Everyone laughed. Later, as the city lights shimmered and the guests danced, Claire stood alone near the edge of the rooftop garden, watching the skyline she once thought she owned. Ethan came up behind her, wrapped his arms around her shoulders. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded, eyes glistening. "I keep thinking about that night. I almost deleted your message. I thought, it's not my problem. But something made me answer." Ethan smiled. "Maybe you needed saving too." She turned, meeting his gaze. "We saved each other." They looked over to the bench, where Noah lay fast asleep beneath a borrowed jacket. Claire brushed a tear away. "Do you think he'll ever understand?" she whispered. "One day," Ethan said, "when he sends a message into the dark and someone answers. Sometimes our miracles don't come wrapped in light. Sometimes they arrive disguised as accidents, a wrong number, a small act of kindness, a stranger who refuses to look away. That night in Seattle, a $200 transfer became a doorway. A doorway to hope, to healing, to love. So if you're listening to this and you're standing on the edge of giving up, don't. Keep your heart open. Your message may already be on its way, waiting for someone kind enough to answer. Because love doesn't always knock on the right door. Sometimes it finds you anyway.